Diego Armando Maradona was born on October 30th, 1960 in Lanús, a town that belongs to the greater Buenos Aires. But where he grew up and where his passion for football was born was in one of the most poverty-stricken places in Argentina, Fiorito. In that humble neighborhood, he was nicknamed Pelusa. And he would spend his days playing with the ball, dreaming of the great player he would become.
Y lo conocí porque era de la otra cuadra, Pelusa. Para la pelota ahí, íbamos, miraba cómo se había partiditos, picaditos. De la casa de él, salía de la casa de él y estaba... Y bueno, era un espacio así, era para jugar a la pelota ahí. Pelusa era un pibito fuera de serie. Yo no sabía lo que era un fuera de serie. Pero era, con la pelota no se la sacaba nadie.
But his talent would not go unnoticed. At the age of 9, he joined the youth team of Argentinos Juniors, where he was part of a team that made history. With 138 undefeated matches called the Cebollitas.
Había un chico que llamaba Goyo Carrizo y dijo, cuando lo probó Francis, dijo que había uno que era mejor que él en la villa. Y no, porque Francis le dijo, ¿por qué no viene? Porque no tiene plata. Y Francis le dio, creo que un billete de 10 pesos color celeste y le dijo al otro día lo trajera. Y cuando terminó la práctica, que Diego la descosió, Francis dijo siempre, dice, este no puede tener 9 años. Un chico que hace lo que hizo este no puede tener 9 años. Y Yayo Trota dijo, ¿y si vamos hasta allá, hasta Fiorito, y nos demuestra que tiene 9 años? Bueno, a la final lo convenció, fueron a Fiorito y la Tota le mostró el documento de Diego que tenía realmente 9 años.
But the big leap would come in 1976, when he made his debut at the age of 16 in the first division of Argentine soccer, where he would become the top scorer of his team.
La primera vez que lo vi fue un Huracán Argentinos Juniors. Yo calculo que debe ser año 76, 77. Argentinos Juniors le hizo 4 a Huracán en cancha de Huracán. Yo era chico, me gustaba el fútbol, jugaba, pero a esa edad, 9 años, no llegás a entender tanto. No me olvido más, la persona que me llevó dijo, este pibe es de otro planeta, tiene ojos en la nuca. No se la podían sacar.
In Argentina, all sports critics and football fans were talking about that young man who delighted the public with his skill.
Y bajo el signo de la paz, declaro oficialmente inaugurado este 11º Campeonato Mundial de Fútbol 78.
It was 1978, and Argentina was on the verge of hosting the World Cup. Diego was 17. It was his chance to fulfill his dream of playing on the national team in front of his beloved country. When the first roster was announced, Diego Armando Maradona was on the list. At the time, the captain's armband was disputed by 2 football stars at the time, Ricardo Enrique Bochini and Norberto Alonso. El Beto, the latter, would eventually come to win it. Argentina, with a very talented team, went on to win the World Cup that year, but the victory was overshadowed by the country's military dictatorship, who used the national team's success to hide the regime's dark practices. In 1979, he had the opportunity to show his talent for the very first time to the entire world, the World Youth Tournament in Tokyo.
Tenía 12 años y me levantaba con mi viejo a las 5 o 6 de la mañana a ver todos los partidos. y fue el mejor Maradona que vi en mi vida. El de agarrar la pelota y encarar todas las veces hacia el arco recto y dejar a todos en el camino. Era como un diamante en bruto que lo único que hacía era limpiar gente y tenía la mente en el arco de enfrente, nada más. Una bestia total.
Maradona, sigue Maradona. En la marcariz, Maradona. Sigue Maradona. Por el mediodía, Maradona. Sigue Maradona, atención Maradona, sale el arquero Maradona. Gol. Gol de Argentina, Maradona.
El país se levantaba a las 5 de la mañana para ver jugar al juvenil, porque era un espectáculo. Yo creo que nunca en la vida me hubiera levantado a ver un partido a las 5 de la mañana.
Argentina hay una oportunidad que el habilidoso Maradona muestre su destreza para los tiros libres. Dispara tratando de curva, evitando la carrera y el balón hacia la red. Un gol espectacular de Diego Maradona. Ese es el calibre de juego que nos señala como una de las estrellas más brillantes del fútbol. Un talento increíble.
Argentina had a great team, but above all, it had Diego Armando Maradona.
Oportunidad para desequilibrar la defensa. Díaz mostrando su velocidad. Sensacional, de hecho. Le sale el paso antes del guardameta. Lo obliga a abrirse. Argentina tiene la oportunidad. Y Maradona anota ese gol. 2-0. Maradona el anotador.
From that moment on, Maradona was considered the best player in the world.
So I remember being, I must have been 11 years old, one of my friends saying he had a sticker of this new best player in the world. So I said, right, well, who is it? Because I thought at that point the best player in the world was Johan Cruyff, maybe Kevin Keegan. But he said, there's this guy. His name is Diego Maradona. So he showed me this picture, and I remember the picture, and it was with Maradona when he played for Boca with the really sort of big hair, you know. And he looked so exotic, and I thought, wow, okay, this is the new best player in the world. I'd never heard of Boca Juniors, of course.
In 1981, everyone wanted Diego on their team. But the one that won the battle, even against River Plate, was Boca Juniors, the most popular team in Argentina. Since his debut, every game was a sellout. He immediately became the team's leader. That same year, he won the championship with Boca Juniors.
No sé, indescriptible, es una alegría enorme, uno fanático de Boca y que Diego en esa época, ya con lo que era como jugador, venga, no sé, no, indescriptible, una alegría enorme, con jugadores como Brindisi, que fue un crack total, esa dupla, verla en la cancha, muy pocas veces vi dos jugadores de tanta calidad juntos. El Diego, obvio, pero acompañado con Brindisi, ¿no? Increíble.
Engancha para adentro, me ve llegar a mí, me tira la pelota, yo la bajo. El Pato va a buscar. Cuando se quiere afirmar ya era tarde, ya lo había pasado. Quedó Tarantini en la línea y tac, a cobrar.
Que sea, gol. Diego Armando Maradona, el mejor jugador de fútbol del mundo, que a la derecha, que a la izquierda, que donde la pongo. Y Maradona eligió tocarla abajo sobre el parante izquierdo del arco.
Boca, despite its good sporting campaigns, is unable to solve its economic problems and, despite its fans' opposition, couldn't retain Maradona for much longer after that. After a difficult negotiation, he was sold at a record price for that time to Barcelona, but on the condition that before joining the team, he would play in the World Cup in Spain.
Si quieren venir, que vengan, les presentaremos batalla.
It was a strange World Cup for the Argentinians, who were at the moment also going through the Falklands War against the British and a military dictatorship that had been going on for 6 years. The certainty of the rival players having to face the best player in the world meant that they would punish Maradona at all costs, and he found it difficult to get into the game. Even though he didn't score as much as he usually did, from 1982 onwards, a strong bond of identification and belonging was formed between the number 10 jersey and the Argentine national team. In Barcelona, Maradona could not deliver what was expected of him. For a moment, it seemed that Diego's career was over.
Hombre, a ver, fue que no, la cosa no cuajó, no funcionó. Creo que estuvo solo un par de años o 3. A ver, yo con lo que me quedo, el único partido que vi en directo fue la final contra el Real Madrid. Y de la jugada aquella, que pega el recorte. O sea, que si tiene la portería para él solo, viene el defensa, pega un recorte con la izquierda, el defensa se come el larguero y mete gol a placer. O sea, en realidad es el primer partido que viene de Maradona como entero.
Cuanto más le pegaban, mejor jugaba. Bueno, y ese día cuando vi que el español lo rompió y Diego se quedó tirado en el piso, dije, lo estropeó.
Le cochean, o sea, lo rompió. Y ahí ya, digamos que se jodió la temporada. O sea, ya Maradona se quedó fuera, el Barça no empezó a funcionar y entonces ya, pues bueno, empezaron los problemas, ¿no?
No es la medicina que hay ahora, en esa época no sabés en las operaciones cómo quedás, si quedás bien, si volvés a jugar al nivel que él estaba. Era una incertidumbre grande.
Per i miei genitori sapere che Diego veniva a giocare a Napoli è stato inaspettato, è stato bello. Poi mi hanno detto: oh Francesco, guarda, sta arrivando uno dei giocatori più forti del mondo a Napoli, forse riusciamo anche a vincere lo scudetto. Quindi erano veramente molto molto felici.
Diego's arrival to Naples generated a revolution and sparked the illusion of great sporting achievements, which at that moment had never been done before.
La verdad no sé por qué fue a Nápoles y no a otro, podría haber ido a cualquiera porque lo querían todos.
Football in those days was dominated by the northern clubs, by Milan, by Inter Milan, by Juventus, right? And what he said he wanted to do, because he felt an affinity with the people of Napoli because of where he was from in Argentina, because of his childhood, because of the poverty, but he wanted to take Napoli, stick two fingers up to the north of Italy and say, we can win.
En el Napoli volvió a ser un poco el Dieguito de Argentino. ¿Viste? No un poco, mucho, ¿no? Hizo goles muy buenos, muy lindos.
Vincere lo scudetto è stata una cosa inaspettata ed in più una rivalsa verso le squadre del nord. E invece il Napoli, che era una squadretta così, con Maradona se li è mangiati proprio, capito? Li ha distrutti e finalmente abbiamo vinto il nostro primo scudetto ed è stato... Napoli è esplosa. Comunque un'emozione gigante perché era un secondo scudetto che arrivava e non era più un sogno ma era una realtà, quindi il Napoli poteva vincere e in più con la Coppa UEFA c'è stata questa consacrazione della squadra in tutta Europa, cioè non era solo una cosa italiana ma era una squadra in grado di travolgere tutte le altre squadre europee.
Dico solamente una soddisfazione personale, perché ecco Maradona.
Ha cambiato che abbiamo preso lo scudetto adesso, però sempre ho creduto in questa squadra. Non mi è dispiaciuto lottare per la retrocessione, adesso non mi dispiace neanche lottare per lo scudetto. Io mi sono sentito a Napoli come in casa, per quello è più importante questo.
Un'ultima cosa, hai detto tante volte, ho imparato tanto in 3 anni di Napoli, più di quanto ho avuto l'opportunità di fare in tutta la mia vita. Chi è adesso Maradona dopo 3 anni di Napoli?
Ma sicuramente questa città mi ha fatto più uomo, più calciatore. E le devo tanto a questa città e speriamo di continuare così.
The triumphant campaign in Naples cemented the fact that it was, without a doubt, the best city in the world. The full extent of his magic, on the other hand, was yet to be revealed, and the definitive coronation of his legacy would come at the 1986 World Cup in Mexico.
El contexto venía muy cargado, o sea, era aquello un morbo y también era aquello de ver qué hacía Maradona. Todo el mundo intuía que iba a pasar algo, no sé, algo, y pasó.
The first time I ever saw him play was in the World Cup in 1986.
In 1986, nobody would bet on Bilardo's team, but Maradona had prepared himself for it to be his World Cup. He was in his best physical condition. Nobody would ever dominate a World Cup like him. That's what made him a superstar for the ages.
Muy importante. Creo que en todo argentino estaba esa carga. Quizás el mundo, no sé si lo vería así o lo sentiría así, porque era algo muy nuestro. Pero obviamente que estaba la carga, era ganarle a Inglaterra sí o sí.
I think it was interesting because, of course, at the time there was a lot of politics in the country. You know, we'd had the conflict with Argentina, the war. I mean, we call it a conflict. It's a difficult one, isn't it? There was a lot of anger in the country at the time with the government. You know, there was a lot of resentment about the fact that the government was, you know, closing factories and shutting mines, and people were losing their jobs. So, you know, to be honest, in terms of how that links to the football, there wasn't much of a link in young people's minds, I think, to the conflict with Argentina. It was a football match.
There were several reasons the quarterfinal match against England wasn't just another game, but Maradona's performance is what cemented him as a god, an untouchable hero on the field.
Pero ese día que le hizo el gol a los ingleses, a los piratas, como le decimos, no sabe. La verdad que jugó con la camiseta, defendió al pueblo argentino. El pibe que hizo eso es Fiorito. No sabe lo que vale eso. No sabe lo que vale.
No vi la mano. No la vi. La mano no la vi.
È il calcio. Nel senso, la mano di Dio, nessuno l'ha visto. Diego lo sapeva, però è andata così.
Everybody just went like, what, you know, how does this happen? You know, this guy's about, I don't know, 1.50 m, and he's jumped over a goalkeeper who's 1.80 m and managed to head it in. But we could all see the hand, and we were just waiting for the referee to blow the whistle and say, oh, it's a free kick, and he didn't.
Que lo tira Diego como número 10, Asciuti como número 9, a Burruchaga de 8 y a Valdano de 7. La pelota va para Maradona, Maradona puede tocar para Enrique, siempre Maradona es un drible, se va entre 3, siempre Diego, genial. Tocó para Valdano, entró Maradona, pasa el 200, Diego Armando Maradona entró a buscar después de una jugada maravillosa, un rechazo para atrás, saltó con la mano para mí, para convertir el gol.
2 goles le hizo. 2 goles le hizo. Los 2 golazos. Uno con la mano de Dios, que solamente Dios sabe que fue con la mano. Porque buscarlo, no lo encontrás.
I think I remember pretty clearly, and I remember he got the ball. And I also remember because it was in the Azteca Stadium and they had, the sun coming down and there was like the shadow of this, it was like a star coming over the pitch. So I remember he gets the ball and he does 3 or 4 things to control the ball and then starts running. And I remember one of my friends just saying, kick him. Like an instruction to the defenders, and the defenders were running after him. And I remember it was Peter Reid, a defender. I remember seeing him being interviewed many years later, and somebody saying, why didn't you just kick him? And he said, what did you think I was trying to do? Do you think I was running? He said, that was me running as fast as I can, but he was getting away from me. And so as he got nearer and nearer the goal, I was thinking, well, someone's going to tackle him. Someone's going to get in the way. And then he goes past and to the side of Peter Shilton, the goalkeeper. And I thought he was falling over. And I thought, oh, that's it. Maybe it'll be a penalty, maybe or not. And then suddenly the ball's in the goal. And he's gone. And he's off. And he's jumping. And I couldn't believe it. I thought, how did he do that?
Hizo llorar al mundo entero, el Dios. Él es como que es un dios del fútbol, porque la verdad que yo lo defino así y con mucha gente, ¿viste?
El gol en mi caso fue el mismo hoy que el día que lo vi en vivo.
Chupo para Enrique engancha, le va a tocar para Diego, ahí la tiene Maradona, lo marcan 2, pisa la pelota Maradona, arranca por la derecha el genio del fútbol mundial, y deja el tente, le va a tocar para Borruchaga, siempre Maradona, genio, para que el país se opulle apretado, gritando por Argentina, Argentina 2, Inglaterra 0, Diego Armando Maradona, gracias Dios por el fútbol, por Maradona, por esas lágrimas, por Argentina 2, Inglaterra 0.
El mejor gol del campeonato, bórralo de la mano, una jugada pero tan notable, arrancó prácticamente en la mitad.
3 days later, Maradona and a confident Argentinian team overcame Belgium 2-0 in the semis, with both goals scored by number 10.
That was a game more than I think any other in the World Cup that Maradona dominated. He dominated that game. He controlled the game. He controlled everything. And when he scored that goal, if you think of him, yeah, he's obviously, I don't know how tall he is actually, 1 meter 70 something. But he's so strong, physically so strong on his feet and so quick that if you watch the run against Belgium, it almost defies the laws of physics because he's going at a high speed right across the face of the goal on all the defenders. He's at the limit of falling over for the whole run. But then you think, well, he's going too fast to shoot. Because if he shoots now, he's probably going to, fall over or something. But he shoots across the goal, across the goalkeeper, scores, and he still manages to stay on his feet and turn and raise his arm, and the smile that he gives was amazing.
The final against the German Tanks was played at the Azteca Stadium, a match that seemed to have been dominated by Argentina, but became more and more complicated as time went on. It ended 3-2, thanks to goals by Brown, Valdano, and the winning goal by Borruchaga with 6 minutes left in the game.
He's offside. Borruchaga is through for Argentina. Can he do it? It's there! Borruchaga making 3-2. Amazing scene here. With 6 minutes to go, Argentina are back in front. Milano is a man for
Maradona raised the cup and kissed it. He was no longer just the best player in the world. He was now a living legend. Not only did Argentina win a World Cup, but they were clearly the best team in the world under the guidance of the best player. 4 years had passed since his legendary performance in Mexico in '86, and Diego was back in the World Cup in Italy in 1990 as captain of the Argentinian national team. The expectations of Argentina, and especially for Diego, were enormous. In the first matches, it was already evident that Maradona could not play at the same level as in '86, but his usual confidence was undeterred. For Diego, the World Cup in Italy was a personal challenge, and he was heroic, overcoming injuries and playing hurt.
De Italia 90, con él no hablé nunca de eso. Yo tuve el zapato en mis manos, el zapato de Diego, de atrás era una cosa así. Y Diego agarró la jeringa y se la clavó él y se inyectó él.
He was now more than ever the undisputed leader and commander of the Argentine national team.
Aquel mundial, Argentina no jugaba bien, pero ganaba. O sea, yo lo recuerdo decir, hostia, bueno, me acuerdo que el partido de Brasil, hostia, jugó mejor Brasil, ¿no? Y la última jugada, que creo que era Canilla, ¿no? Que le da el pase y mete gol y adiós, ¿no? Es decir, bueno, eso era Maradona. Y de repente se le encendía la lucecito y te metía el pase, la jugada y pum, ¿no?
Maradona, por encima de todo. Después los que acompañen, obviamente, tenerlo a Canigia, un crack total.
Thanks to Goycochea's great performance during penalties, Argentina unexpectedly reached the semifinals against none other than Italy.
Se juega en la casa de Maradona, pero hoy la mayoría de los hinchas no están con el Pelusa, están con la selección azzurra che busca volver a ser campeona in casa.
Allora, di quello della partita di Italia 90 ricordo giocata a Napoli tra le altre, quindi il posto più sbagliato per far giocare l'Italia, l'Argentina. E ricordo che il pubblico era diviso in due, c'erano napoletani che tifavano Argentina, tifavano Diego, perché Diego era un napoletano, quindi sarebbe stato un tradimento non tifare per Diego. Ed in più memori dell'odio che tutto il resto d'Italia aveva per Napoli, per ripicca tifavano Maradona, Argentina. Fischiava l'inno, che per me è una cosa brutta da fare, perché comunque è un inno di una nazionale che stai ospitando ed è una cosa a prescindere brutta da fare. E poi Diego, insomma, ci ha insultato un po' tutti, chiamandoci figli di puttana, però alla fine aveva ragione, perché un inno non si fischia ed è stata comunque una brutta macchia, secondo me, per l'Italia in generale, per l'Italia tutta.
Aldo Serena con la responsabilidad de todo un país en la espalda. Si falla, Italia estará fuera de su mundial. Le pega Serena. Paró. Goycochea. Argentina está en la final. Argentina elimina a Italia y defenderá el título en la final del Mundial de Italia.
No, yo creo que no fue venganza. Fue bronca, bueno, habrán tenido bronca, pero no fue venganza.
Diego si è sentito molto simile ai napoletani, no? Perché appunto noi venivamo chiamati terroni, colerosi, ci dicevano il Vesuvio deve riesplodere, rieruttare, vi deve coprire di lava e così, no? E allora quando abbiamo cominciato a vincere contro le squadre del nord, per noi è stato un momento di riscatto, per noi come penso anche per tutto il sud Italia, per tutti.
Yeah, but I think the thing with him is, I think it was real. And I think that's one of the things that I think you cannot fake that for as many years as, you know, he was someone who knew who he was. He knew where he'd come from, and I don't think he was in any way, you know, ashamed of his roots and the poverty that he'd grown up in. I think he was proud of what he'd done, and I think he was proud to, you know, drag a city like Napoli and fight against, you know, why did he play in Argentina? Why did he play for Boca Juniors and not River Plate? You know, now I think it's pretty easy to argue that both Boca Juniors and River Plate are both working class, you know, people's football clubs, right? But Boca Juniors has that that association with the immigration to Argentina, with being from La Boca, being from a poorer neighborhood. That was who he was. So I think that was all. I think that was genuine, and I think he fought against that his whole life.
Y bueno, nosotros como todo pobre no teníamos zapatillas, ¿entendés? Porque, ¿qué te iban a mentir? Te digo la verdad, no teníamos zapatillas. No íbamos a rebuscar la quema, todo aquello. Él también, ¿viste? Así que bueno, ¿viste? Humilde, siempre, ¿no? Siempre humilde, como todo pibe. Como yo te digo, a veces teníamos para comer, a veces no teníamos para comer.
Once again, Argentina faced Germany in the final, but this time Diego was not in his best form, and despite his absolute dedication to the team, Germany defeated Argentina 1-0. Thanks to Roberto Sensini's controversial penalty against Rudi Völler by referee Edgardo Codesal, which Andreas Brehme turned into a goal.
El Mundial 90 Argentina, Maradona no tenía que ganarlo, no Argentina. Yo creo que si Maradona no hubiera jugado la final, Argentina no estaba en condiciones de ganarla sin Maradona, pero él, lo que significaba él adentro de una cancha, él levantando la copa, la FIFA no lo quería.
After the World Cup, Maradona continued to bring joy to all Napolitanos until he was involved in a controversial drug case. Diego left Italy knowing the Italians would never forgive him for eliminating them from the World Cup. He then spent a brief period playing in Sevilla before returning to Argentina in 1993 to play for Newell's Old Boys of Rosario.
Otra vez el maestro. Sigue el maestro. ¡Grande maestro! El centro maestro. Salvamos.
His next international appearance would be his last, the 1990 World Cup in the United States. To everyone's surprise, Diego had recovered a great deal and was in excellent physical condition. Argentina won in the first two matches, playing very well, and was on its way to the championship with Maradona at the top of his game. But that World Cup would have one of the saddest events in Diego's life, and that of many Argentinians. After an excellent debut of the national team against Greece, winning 4-0, a significant event took place. Diego celebrated the goal that would give them the victory with a frenzy in front of TV cameras. At the end of the match, Maradona was escorted off the field by a FIFA nurse and subjected to anti-doping protocol.
In view of this decision, FIFA will make a ruling on the disciplinary aspects of the case after this World Cup. And until the case is finally settled, Diego Maradona remains suspended from all footballing activity.
No quiero dramatizar, pero créeme que me cortaron las piernas. Me cortaron las piernas a mí, le cortaron las piernas a mi familia, a los que estaban al lado mío. Por sobre todas las cosas, creo que me sacaron del fútbol definitivamente porque no creo que quiera otra revancha. Tengo los brazos caídos, tengo todo el alma destrozado. Lo único que quiero es que quede claro a los argentinos que no me drogué, que no corrí por la droga, corrí por el corazón y por la camiseta.
He was a player. And to the surprise of many, he put on his football cleats once again. and the number 10 jersey for Boca in the 95 season and again the following year.
Una locura. Es ir, comprar el abono y ir todos los domingos a la cancha a verlo. Una alegría total. Mis amigos y yo, todos los domingos a verlo. Una locura total.
Saldaña, 9 el Kini González, 10 el único Diego Maradona, 11 Claudio Canigia.
Until October 25th, 1997, 5 days before his 37th birthday, Diego played his last official match. It couldn't have been a more fitting farewell. The last game was against bitter rival River Plate. The match was won by Boca, 2-1.
Y de repente me viene la mujer que menos me espero que me lo diga, o sea, que yo sepa, no es aficionada al fútbol, ¿vale? Me dice, ¿sabes qué?
Nada, digo. Sí, mirá, bro, murió el Diego.
Oddio mio. Ed è stata una tragedia perché per un napoletano era come un padre, un fratello, un amico ed è stato come perdere uno di famiglia.
Yo pienso que Diego no se murió, Diego hubo algo más. Me dolió tanto y me sigue doliendo tanto que acá hay un santuario, yo todavía no fui. No fui porque sé que voy a entrar y me voy a poner a llorar. Porque lo que viví con todos los cebollitas, no lo viví con ninguna división de argentino.
Me mandó un mensaje mi hermana. Obviamente no le creía, era imposible. Prendí la tele, empecé a pasar por todos los canales sin parar y no lo podía creer, no lo podía creer.
La gente tratando de acercar su mano, aunque sea, para poder tocar el cajón. Esa era la imagen que recibíamos de lo que está pasando ahora.
I don't know, this maybe sounds really strange, but I felt relieved. Because, you know, there's a lot of contradictions and difficulties with Maradona. Maradona the man, Maradona the football player, Maradona the icon, you know. But it was very clear, I think, there's lots of stuff in the news now about things that have went on in Cuba and so on, and we all know that he had a very difficult life. There were problems with drugs, problems with, you know, someone. But you have, I think the thing with Maradona is you have to understand this is someone who came from a very, very, very poor area and was, you know, sort of catapulted to this superstardom, maybe one of the world's first global superstars.
Se me fue una parte de mi vida, la inspiración que tuve siempre como el jugador de fútbol que quise ser o el futbolista amateur que fui. Era la inspiración, el ejemplo a seguir, de donde uno te surgían cosas para intentarlas después los domingos cuando jugabas.
No tengo palabras, para mí es lo más grande que hay.
No lo podemos creer. Es un muchacho que con una pelota hizo feliz a un pueblo y a los pobres, a todos jugando a la pelota, cosa que los políticos no nos pueden hacer feliz y él nos hizo feliz a todos.
Se escuchaba, por mi madre se escuchaba como una trompeta. Y yo agarré y le dije, bueno, loco, el Diego hizo llorar hasta el cielo. ¿Qué querés que te diga, viste? Y bueno, porque se puso el día triste.
Si pudieras decirle a Diego Maradona algo de frente, ¿qué le dirías?
Oh my God, I don't know. why didn't you tell us you used your hands? No, I wouldn't say that. I would say, I would want to know which was the goal that he enjoyed the most.
Sarebbe un discorso brevissimo. Gli direi semplicemente grazie di tutto quello che hai fatto per Napoli, per i napoletani. Fottitene di tutto quello che la gente dice e ha detto di te, perché sei stato il più grande calciatore di tutti i tempi.
Yo le preguntaría, cuando coges la pelota, ¿piensas hacer todo eso? ¿O vas improvisando, no? O sea, es decir, ¿ves toda la jugada entera hasta el final o voy probando? O sea, yo le preguntaría, ¿qué es lo que te hace decidir ir para allá? ¿Viste un agujero? ¿Sabes? O, porque, no sé, lo normal es ver una jugada y un pase al uno, al otro, o un cambio de juego, ¿no? De repente decide irse para allá, ¿no? Debió haber un agujero, algo, ¿no? Que los demás no vemos, pero lo vio clarísimo. Igual le preguntaría por esa jugada.
Gracias, la verdad, por todo, por todo. Gracias por todo, porque hay momentos de tu vida que quizás, cuando sos joven, que no sabes un poco para dónde ir, y tener a alguien que diga, que vos te quieras reflejar y decir, mirá, yo quiero ser así, un poquito así. Tener algo de él, intentar hacer algo. Esa inspiración que le daba a todo el mundo para querer hacer algo mejor, más lindo, mejorar. Así que, eternamente gracias.
Bueno, Pelu, te diría que gracias por todo lo que nos diste. Porque siempre nombrás a Fiorito, a la villa nuestra. Y porque hiciste muy feliz a los pibes de acá y al mundo entero. Hay gente con facultad que te veía tu bolsillo. Y nosotros no, nosotros veíamos todo el cariño que vos tenías por Fiorito. Porque en todo momento nombraba a Fiorito. Grande, Pelu. Fiorito te ama. Fiorito nunca te va a olvidar.
Te quiero mucho, mamá.
También, mi amor. Anda a descansar, mi hijo, que me hiciste la madre más feliz del mundo hoy.
Yo juego para vos, mamá.
¿Y qué planeta viniste? Para dejar el cabinete inglés, para que el país sea muy apretado, gritando por Argentina. ¡Y gol!